Movie notes on O Canada. 2024 film, 21 January 2026 viewing. Today's Wednesday, 21 January 2026, and here I, Tanis Coralee of Seattle, talk through my movie notes for my viewing of this movie today, on Wednesday, 21 January 2026, of the 2024 film O Canada, which is a fiction film about a filmmaker in his late career as he answers questions in a formal sit-down reflective interview. So he's late in his career, and so it pulls together a production crew to kind of do this professional production where he reflects on his life and kind of tells his story, and including kind of how he came to be in Canada, because he started off in the East Coast of the United States of America and then went to Canada. And it includes his personal life as part of his story, including the relocation. And I would summarize some of my notes. It is about the freedom of telling one's story, even if one is judged by others for not conforming to their standards or what they expect. It does not make the life of the person telling the story the life of the person listening / questioning about it. Yes. So you can think of it as like, people can poke holes and be like, that's not real, or I don't believe you, all I want. It doesn't make it their story. They didn't live it. So there's a little bit of gaining confidence of just telling the story of like, well, it's not like it's their story. They could tell it all they want. They aren't the person who lived it. Yeah. And then essentially, in terms of the personal life part, essentially the man's woman is so out of control, so emotional, and so fragile, he has to frame his story as fiction just to tell it. Yeah, so essentially there's this woman, and she's like, oh, I know everything about him. You've been living with him for 30 years. And so he starts to reveal stuff he didn't ever tell her before, and she's like, it's all lies, And she gets really emotional and kind of out of control, and so he's like, to kind of please the emotional control freak woman, he has to frame it as fiction. So anything she doesn't like that he says, she just says is a lie anyway. So he figures out how to dominate her through his storytelling. The whole thing is fiction. And so if you're going to say that something's fiction because you don't like it, why not just say the whole thing is fiction? And then, okay. Only when he's out of the room does she fess up to some of it being true. And, if the whole thing's fiction, then she's not really part of the story, is she? So I thought it was an interesting one in that sense. The older, so the filmmaker, the older they kind of do, so he's telling the story and he's in a formal sit-down interview context. And so the late career guy is portrayed by Richard Gere. And then if you've ever seen the movie Runaway Bride. Okay. And then the younger him is portrayed by Jacob Elordi, if you've ever seen the movie Priscilla, where he plays Elvis in Priscilla. Okay. So I've seen both of these actors before. I thought they both did a good job. I would give it, I can't decide, a 4, a 5, a 4, a 5, but I don't want to give it a 4.5. A 4. Yeah, I'll give it a 4. Yeah, but I enjoyed it. It was gets one thinking a little bit. So there we go. That's the movie notes on O Canada 2024 film, 21 January 2026 viewing.